Africa is a vast continent with different countries, different tribes and ethnicities, and different cultures. Festivals and funerals are the most common traditions that cut across all the different ethnic groupings in Africa. This section introduces you to funerals and festivals in Africa, specifically to look at the sociology of funerals and festivals in Africa. It is also tailored to help listeners appreciate key concepts in African popular culture, to recognize ways in which everyday social interactions become foundations for culture, to acknowledge the role of culture in defining and explaining society's worldview, and finally to appraise the changing notions in contemporary African funerals and festivals. In diverse African societies, life is considered cyclical and death is only a continuation of life. For that matter, Africans strive to maintain a specific relationship between the living and the dead. They celebrate their values, their individual as well as their collective achievements and woes. Festivals in African societies have been the manifestation of celebrations of values and achievement. At the same time, funeral rites have signaled the celebration of the woes and the values of African societies. Funerals and festivals are the most popular cultures in Africa, and significantly so, given their attraction to mass participation. Also, the life of the society has been moderated by the rituals and activities of events that takes place. I will briefly touch on the African cosmology. Specifically, I'll look at the Ashanti cosmology. The Ashantis are one of the largest ethnic groups in Ghana. And in their worldview, they believe that there is duality in the world and also in man. That the world is made up of the physical, the one we see, and the spiritual or the metaphysical, the one that we don't see. And that man is made up of a physical, our physical self that we see, and then the spiritual that we don't see with our eyes. And this worldview informs the actions, the ceremonies, the celebrations, and everything that the Akan Ashanti attach to everyday activity. In the spiritual world, it is believed that there is a hierarchy, and in that hierarchy, Supreme Being or God is at the apex. God is on top of the spiritual hierarchy. And God is known in the different ethnic groups across Africa as Unyame among the Akans, Oludumare among the Yoruba, Ngai, Kuyi, and so on. The next in hierarchy is the deities or the gods. And examples of these are Asasiya, Tano, Bosompo, Ogun, and Oshun. The next in hierarchy after the deities is the ancestors. And the ancestors are often regionalized. So, for example, in Ghana, the different ethnic groups have their ancestors. The Ashantis have Yasantua. In Nigeria, they have Shango, Obatala, and the rest. Next in hierarchy after the ancestors is the spirits. For the spirits, it is believed that there are both benevolent and malevolent spirits, that they are good and bad spirits. And below the spirits is man. Man is seen to be at the bottom of this spiritual hierarchy. And because man is at the bottom, man is vulnerable and must offer sacrifices to appease all these spiritual beings so that these spiritual beings will in turn protect man. Rituals and ceremonies constitute traditional African life because these are the means through which Africans can make peace with these spiritual beings that I have mentioned earlier. Rituals and celebrations or ceremonies are ways Africans seek advice, protection, guidance, and favors from supernatural forces. The rite enables them to directly ask or seek God's blessing or indirectly seek the advice, guidance, and protection from the deities through whom the Creator God is usually approached. But Africans also use rites and ceremonies to solicit for blessings and protection from their ancestors. They believe that their ancestors or the ancestor spirit exists in the spirit world, as I've mentioned earlier, and they influence the lives of the living for good or for evil. So most traditional African societies communicate daily with the deities, that is the deities of their ancestors through prayers and sacrifices. And in so doing, they solicit the protection and blessings of their ancestors. So as I mentioned earlier, I said that there are individual prayers that people offer to the deities. And there's also the public prayers in which members of a whole ethnic group or tribe occasionally meet to pray publicly and give offerings to the ancestors' spirits, the deities or tutelar spirits, and through them to the supreme deity for protection, good health, children, and the general well-being of the society. The next thing I want us to look is the African traditional festivals. So an African community-based event that honors and presents different facets of African culture, customs, and heritage is called an African festival. We can also say that the purification rites, drumming, dancing, singing, the recital of tribal history, and the reaffirmation of the values of a tribe or group shares and cherishes is called African Traditional Festival. But these festivals promote social cohesion, cultural expression, and historical preservation of the group that celebrates it. These frequently include dance, music, art, and food. They can be held annually or on a sporadic basis and can be tailored to specific ethnic group, region, or theme. African traditional festivals are propitiatory in nature, that is, they appease and reconcile, they are sacrificial, but also they are laudatory in orientation, that is, they praise and commend people. African ethnic groups acknowledge the blessings of the Supreme Creator and of the deities and the ancestors. Africans believe that ancestral spirits are manifested in good health, good harvest, and abundance of children. And this is because during festivals or during individual prayer, they always seek help or call on the ancestors to replenish their homes with children, with good harvest, with money, with riches, and with everything that they who are living on this earth will need to make their lives comfortable. There are different types of traditional festivals. In every country, there are different tribes, and these various tribes also have their festivals. Though there could be a national festival, the various traditions and cultures or ethnic groupings have their festivals. And these festivals are grouped into three major characterization. That is, African traditional festivals are classified into three closely related and distinguishable types. The first type is the harvest festivals. Now, those festivals are associated with primary agricultural occupation and harvest. In this type of festival, participating members of a community or ethnic group sacrifice or offer portions of the first fruit of yam and other crops from their farms to the supreme being, the spirits, and the gods. In so doing, they honor and thank them for the good harvest. They also supplicate to the deities for their help and protection against evil spirits that cause poor harvest. The second group of festivals are termed commemorative festivals, and these festivals are characterized by activities aimed at honoring the memory of the dead. That is, marking an event that took place in the past and giving offerings to the deities and ancestral spirits for the past as well as the future well-being of the participants or the community. They also have as part of their focus the dramatization of sacred myth, legends, and traditions of origin or real historical events in the life of the participating groups. The third group and the last category of festival may be termed as religious festivals or festivals for the deities. And these are special festivals which are celebrated annually in honor of specific tutelar spirits or gods. Apart from the merrymaking and festivities, the main activities or focus of these festivals are centered around the deities. Example is the Apo festival celebrated in Wenchi and other towns in Bono and Ahafo region of Ghana. Apo is celebrated in honor of the deity Ntoa. The three categories I've mentioned are also structured. So we say that there is a structure of traditional festivals. Now there are two main structures or two main components of a traditional festival. There's the religious component and then the recreational component. And this is because the numerous interrelated activities which give traditional festivals their structure are classified into two broad components. The religious component comprises of rites and rituals. while the recreational component comprises singing, dancing, and general merrymaking. This is because the rituals, the singing, the dancing, festivities, and the rest are carefully arranged so that they do not interfere with one another. Although there could be two or more activities taking place simultaneously, these activities do not interrupt each other. Some of these activities do not only take place in different locations, but they also involve different individuals and groups. Therefore, the different groups can and do perform their diverse activities in distant places at the same time. For example, various rites which constitute one major component of the formal activities are performed by a select groups and individuals in special locations such as home, the storehouses, sacred groves, the shrines of the deities, or bank of rivers. Such ritual and public singing and dancing can take place concurrently without interfering with each other. We must note is that it's not everybody who can take part in the ritual, so there are membership of the select groups for especially the religious ritual. As is common with most traditional societies, the membership of the select group is more often not ascribed. So a person becomes a member of a group which performs the esoteric rituals of a festival by virtue of his kinship ties, rank, office, or other predetermined factors. Secondly, most members of the communities who participate in other public events of the festival are excluded from the key rites and rituals which predicate the former. What this means is that there are different people who perform different activities. So for example, the chiefs and the elders, the chief priests, and the religious people may be the only people who can go to the storeroom or the store house or the sacred grove to perform the religious festival perform the religious rite, whereas the other festivities could be performed by other people. But in all that, everybody perform their rite according to their rank or according to their status. So the religious rituals are often done behind the public. The secrecy and mysticism that surround the rituals often generate awe and even fear among members of the communities who are excluded from this very ritual. But then this is to give a solemn outlook to the otherwise gay and joyous activity of the festival. So what this means is that the religious aspect of the festival is the glue that bond the community, but then that religious activity is done behind the public. Though the public participate in the derbes, in the other activities of singing and dancing and the rest, the very important activity of the festival is done in secrecy behind the public. So to continue with the religious component, like I mentioned, for example, the annual community cleansing ceremonies of a community or a people are intended to supplicate the deities and ancestors' spirits for the group's well-being by means of the rites, temper, and the gaiety with solemnity generated by the awe-inspiring rituals. That this induces reverence in the people towards the deities and the dead. But most importantly, they put on the festival a religious stamp, which in the final analysis brings out the intention of the event. The intent of the event is to bring the people together in honoring their deities and the Supreme Being. And so the rituals form the center of every activity, yet that one cannot be. They should be the only thing that will bring people. So there is also the addition of the other activities that makes the festival interesting for everybody to partake in. The recreational component, which is the second formal component of festival, comprising recreational activities, derives its success from public involvement and participation. So if there is a festival and people do not attend the festival or they do not involve in the activities, the festival will be very dull. Though the most important thing will be the religious component, but the recreational ones also help in making the festival a success. So all members of the community are expected to and often take part in the activities, either by actively singing and dancing or by watching as interested observers. Performances of rituals and recreational activities. Generally, the rituals and recreational activities whose performances are occasionally marked by bits of dramatic forms and artistic displays may be evenly sticking with each other, or one component, usually the recreational aspect, turns out to be the dominant, because people go to festivals just to enjoy the recreational aspect of the festival and not the religious one. The rites and rituals may occur once or twice during the festival period. Very often, the beginning and the end of the festival, or assuming varying degrees of elaborateness, they may punctuate other activities of the festival. So these religious festivals that I have mentioned could be enacted in the beginning of the festival and that will be it, or it will be throughout the festival, or once or twice, depending on the festival itself and those celebrating it. I want you to note also is that there are festival periods. That is, festival periods often spread over days or weeks, each of which is devoted to one or two activities, therefore giving sequential phases to the activities. So you will note that when there is an advertisement for a particular culture, there is a date that specifies the festival periods. And I said that they could be days, they could be weeks, they could be months, depending on what festival it is and where it is situated. The next important thing that gives festival its outlook, interesting outlook, is festival behavior or festival behaviors. Festival behaviors encompasses a range of actions, and social interactions that occur at festivals, often characterized by a sense of community, shared experience, and celebration. Key aspects include respecting personal space, practicing kindness, being mindful of noise levels, and adhering to festival rules and etiquette. Festivals are inherently social events, and fostering a positive and welcoming atmosphere through kindness and inclusivity is crucial. Festivals encourage a sense of belonging and shared experiences, leading to increased interactions and friendship among attendees. But there is also this interesting aspect of festival where we note the differences in dressing, what otherwise is known as the reversal of status. Men dress like women, women dress like men, girls dress like older people, rich dress like poor, poor dress like rich, someone dresses like he or she is mad, and so forth. And these are the status reversal where people turn into festive mood and do everything. During festivals, people are expected to enjoy themselves, and there is often a break on the normal rule. So, for example, during the festival, a group of singers can insinuate or sing a song or say something that's annoying somebody, or they could describe a particular person's behavior which otherwise is not nice in public space. And though if the person is there, the person will feel very bad. In the spirit of the festival, that person is not supposed to feel bad or be sad. Rather, if the person is around, the person will have to give money or a gift to the group that exposed his or her bad behavior. And after the festival, the person cannot confront the group that did that. So, festivals has become a point where societal ills are exposed, evil people are exposed, or ill activities of people are exposed. And when they are exposed, those culprits are supposed to be happy or offer a gift for the expose and have no right to pursue any court cases against those individuals or groups who expose them. Festival behavior is a blend of general social etiquette and behavior or behaviors are specific to the unique environment and culture of a festival, with an emphasis on creating a positive, inclusive, and enjoyable experience the community made up of the humans and then the spirits will enjoy. The next thing that I want us to look at is African funerals. So, funerals in Africa are culturally diverse and vary by location, but they always revere the deceased and a wish to commemorate their legacy. Some of the common elements are mortuary rites, mourning rituals, offering donation, burial wailing, dramatization, and most of the time in Africa, funerals are often conducted by the deceased family. Funeral ceremonies in Africa are a social phenomenon that serve a variety of sociological tasks, including preserving cultural legacy, preparing the deceased spirit for the next world, comforting the departed throughout their journey to the other world, or what the accounts call Asamanado, and ritualizing the social body. So funerals are organized not only for the dead but also for the living, to be able to deal with the grief of a dear one. Funeral dressing or costumes vary from society to society. Mostly, funerals are organized by the families, and those who attend funerals wear either red and black, or pure white, or black and white. It depends on the organization of the family, or what the family really wants the participant to wear. So normally every invitation will state the attire for the funeral. The diverse African societies celebrate the dead differently. And by this, I'll end this section. And in the next section, we will look at the different funerals in the different African communities. Thank you.